Make no mistake about it. Life is always keeping score. Every single day, whether you notice it or not, an invisible tally is being recorded. You may not see the results immediately. Life doesn't hand out report cards every Friday. But rest assured, it is quietly, patiently, and faithfully tracking the habits you choose. I call this the law of habitual return. And what does that mean? It means that whatever you sow again and again, you will eventually reap with interest. If you build the habit of showing up late, life takes note. If you build the habit of making your bed every morning, life remembers that too. The clock keeps ticking, the calendar keeps turning, and one day the total of all those repeated actions comes knocking at your door. People often ask, what's the secret to getting ahead? Is it one big breakthrough? A sudden windfall? A lucky moment? Once in a while, maybe. But if you pay close attention, you'll see that real progress is almost always built on simple actions done well and done repeatedly. That is the law at work. Life doesn't pay you for what you do once. Life pays you for what you do over and over until it becomes part of who you are. Imagine a farmer planting seeds. One seed in the ground doesn't create a harvest. But what happens if he plants an entire field, then waters it, nurtures it, and tends to it every single day? In just a few months, that small daily habit turns into a harvest large enough to feed the whole neighborhood. But it all started with the right habit. Repeated action, day after day, even when nobody was watching. Now there is another side to this coin. Suppose that same farmer becomes lazy. He skips a day, then another. Weeds begin to grow. He ignores them. He says, it won't matter just this once. But weeds don't work that way. They thrive on neglect. And before long, what was once a promising field is completely overrun. That is the law in action too. Every habit, good or bad, has a return policy. Some pay rewards, others charge penalties. Take your health. One single workout will not change your body. But what if you make it a habit? What if you lace up your shoes, rain or shine, week after week, year after year? Soon enough, people start asking for your secret. But it isn't a secret. It's simply the law of habitual return. Consistency pays. The same is true for bad habits. Skip the gym one day, no big deal. Skip it for a year and life delivers the invoice. Here's what I've learned. There are no neutral habits. Every habit you choose is either paying you a dividend or charging you a fee. The real question is, what kind of account are you building? Are you investing in habits that pay you back? Or are you stacking up debts that life will one day collect? So today, as you listen, ask yourself, what habits are quietly compounding in the background of your life? Are they working for you or against you? Because make no mistake, life will pay you back with astonishing accuracy according to your habits. And remember this, you do not have to be perfect. You only have to be persistent. That is the law of habitual return. Little actions multiplied by time create results that look like magic to everyone else. But to you, it was just another day, another good habit, another seed in the ground. So tell me, what does your routine look like? Now, some people hear the word routine and think, that sounds boring. Isn't life supposed to be spontaneous and exciting? And yes, there is a place for adventure. But if you truly want progress, if you want success to show up at your doorstep, then you need routine in your life. The right routine is not a prison. It is a pathway to freedom. Routine removes friction from your day. When good habits are repeated enough times, they become so natural that you no longer have to wrestle with yourself to get started. They run on autopilot, and that is where the magic happens. Have you ever tried to push a car stuck in neutral? At first, it takes all your effort just to move it an inch. But if you keep pushing, eventually the wheels begin to roll. Momentum builds. The same thing happens in your life. The hardest part is getting started. The second hardest part is sticking with it until it becomes automatic. Once it is a routine, you are no longer pushing uphill. You are coasting downhill. I remember the first time I tried to build a morning routine. It was not glamorous. It was awkward. Every night, I had to remind myself to lay out my clothes, set the alarm, and plan the next day. But after a while, something incredible happened. I stopped thinking about it. It just happened. The energy I used to waste debating, should I or shouldn't I, suddenly became available for higher purposes. That is the hidden value of routine. It frees mental space. It lets you focus on what truly matters. When you no longer have to make 1,000 tiny decisions every morning, you can use that willpower to build something meaningful. You save your best thinking for your biggest opportunities. Motivation is wonderful, but it is unreliable. Some days it is there, some days it is not. You cannot depend on it to get you out of bed every morning, but you can depend on your routine. Motivation is the spark that starts the engine. Routine is the engine itself. Have you ever noticed how professionals in any field make success look easy? It is not because they are smarter or luckier. It is because they have a system. They do not rely on bursts of inspiration. They follow a set of actions day in and day out. Their routine delivers results, even on the days they do not feel like showing up. Think about it. If you had to negotiate with yourself every time you wanted to eat breakfast, brush your teeth, or go to work, you would be exhausted by noon. But because you have routines, those actions happen almost effortlessly. Now imagine applying that same principle to reading, planning, prospecting, exercising, or saving money. How much smoother would your days run? How much more could you accomplish? Here is the real key. Routines beat motivation every single time. Do not wait for the mood to strike. Build a system. Let your routine carry you when your feelings will not. And if you ever slip, do not start over from zero. Just step back into your routine as soon as possible. The system will steady you. So here is my challenge to you today. Identify the routines that are already working for you and strengthen them. If you do not have one yet, start small. Pick one action that pays dividends and make it part of your daily system. Stick with it until it becomes automatic. The smoother your routine becomes, the easier it is to add another. Before long, you are running a whole system of winning habits. Life starts to feel less like a struggle and more like a well-oiled machine. That is the hidden value of routine. It removes friction, frees your mind, and makes success predictable. Build the system and let the system work for you. Now let's talk about what I call the daily deposit principle. It is simple, but if you truly understand it, it can change your destiny. Every single day, you are either making deposits into the account of your future or making withdrawals from it. Most people are waiting for a lottery win. They want one massive break, one huge deposit, and instant results. But life rarely works that way. Real wealth in health, knowledge, relationships, and even finances comes from small, steady deposits made day after day. It is daily habits, not occasional heroic efforts, that add up to something extraordinary. Take reading as an example. If you read just 10 pages of a good book every day, that is more than 3,000 pages in a year. About a dozen books, maybe more. Multiply that over 5 or 10 years and you become a walking library. And you did not have to read all day long. All you had to do was make the daily deposit. The same rule applies when you are learning a new skill, picking up a new language, or mastering your craft at work. A small investment made faithfully each day grows into a fortune of knowledge over time. Now think about your finances. Saving a little money every week may seem insignificant in the beginning. You might look at your balance and say, "What's the point?" But if you remain consistent, that account begins to grow. Interest starts working on your behalf. And after a few years, you have built a cushion that gives you confidence, security, and choices. It was not luck. It was discipline. The simple habit of making a daily or weekly deposit changes everything. Health works the same way. Do a few push-ups. Take a brisk walk. Choose an apple instead of a candy bar. One time, it makes almost no difference. But connect 100 of those days, then 1,000 of them, and suddenly your friends are asking how you did it. Oh, and you know the truth. It is not magic. It is the daily deposit principle. At first, the results are invisible. Then they become undeniable. I remember when I first began in business, the results did not appear right away. I made my calls, held my meetings, read my books. At the end of many days, I wondered if any of it truly mattered. Was it worth the effort? But I kept going. And after 1 year, then 2, then 5, the evidence began to accumulate. People started saying, "You're so lucky." But luck had almost nothing to do with it. It was daily deposits quietly adding up in the background. You can apply this principle anywhere. Want a stronger relationship with your spouse, your children, your friends? Make a daily deposit. A kind word, a thoughtful gesture, 5 minutes of real attention. It may feel small in the moment, but wait until you see the compound interest of consistency. Small habits are like seeds. Plant them every day. Some grow slowly, some rise quickly, but all of them are working for your future. Never underestimate what can happen if you stay with a habit long enough. The days are going to pass anyway. The only question is this: when you look back, will you see a rich account, or will you wish you had started sooner? So I challenge you today. Choose your habits the way an investor chooses stocks. Make daily deposits into the accounts you want to see grow, whether it is your health, your mind, your relationships, or your finances. A little each day, compounded over time, builds a life of abundance. Do not let a single day pass without making a deposit. Your future self will thank you. That is the daily deposit principle. The payoff is certain, the growth is steady, and one day, when you least expect it, you will realize just how wealthy you have become. Now let us turn the coin and speak about the other side: neglect. Because as powerful as good habits are, there is an equal and opposite force working quietly in every life. That force is the cost of neglect. Neglect is subtle. It never sends a bill on the first day. You skip a day, then a week, sometimes a month, and nothing seems to happen. But make no mistake, neglect is always compounding in silence, just like good habits. Picture a beautiful garden. Flowers in full bloom, grass trimmed, not a weed in sight. Now leave that garden alone for a month. No watering, no care, no attention. At first, it may still look fine, but soon weeds begin to creep in. The grass turns brown, the flowers fade. Neglect works quietly, but it always collects its fee. That is how it works with your health. Miss one workout and nothing changes. Miss a dozen and the changes appear in the mirror, on the scale, in your energy. Neglect takes time to reveal itself, but it never forgets. Skip the healthy meal. Ignore the checkup. Let stress pile up. The cost accumulates, and one day the bill arrives, often much higher than you ever imagined. The same is true with finances. Let spending slide. No budget, no tracking, just hoping everything works out. For a while, nothing dramatic happens, but after a few years, debts begin to grow. Options shrink. What could have been a strong financial future turns into a constant struggle. And it was not one big mistake. It was the slow drip of neglect, day after day. In business, the lesson is the same. Ignore the details. Lose touch with your customers. Stop learning. Stop growing. At first, nothing seems different, but the market never stops moving. One day you wake up behind, passed by competitors, all because of small things you ignored that grew into large problems over time. Even relationships teach this lesson. Ignore a friend, a spouse, or a child long enough and distance grows. Not overnight, but gradually. Little by little, the connection fades. The cost becomes loneliness, regret, and opportunities lost. Here is what I have learned. Neglect always costs more than effort. The price of discipline is measured in ounces. The price of neglect is measured in tons. It is far easier to take small actions each day than to face an avalanche later. Ask yourself, where am I allowing neglect to enter my life? Where am I telling myself I will deal with it later? Because later always comes, and the bill is always due. Sometimes it is your health, sometimes your career, sometimes your family or your finances. The cost is never obvious at first, but it is always certain. But here is the good news. Just as neglect takes hold quietly, it can be reversed with a single decision. One day of renewed effort, one day of attention, and the process begins to change. The garden can bloom again, the balance can rise again, the relationship can be restored. But do not wait for the bill before you act. Neglect is expensive. The habits you ignore today will send you an invoice tomorrow with interest. Do not let the silent thief of neglect steal your future dividends. Care now for what matters. The cost of effort is small compared to the price of regret. Now, how are habits and identity connected? This is one of the most powerful lessons of all, and one most people never notice. Your habits are more than what you do. Over time, they become who you are. Your habits write your biography long before anyone else ever does. So many people say, I want to change my life. I want to be disciplined. I want to be healthy. I want to be successful. But the truth is simple. The world does not listen to your wishes, your promises, or your declarations. The world listens to your actions. Your habits reveal who you truly are, even when you wish to tell a different story. If you claim discipline but practice neglect, the evidence speaks for itself. If you say you value growth but live in stagnation, your habits have already voted. It is not enough to want a new identity. You must support it every day with habits that match the person you want to become. This truth can be uncomfortable. No one enjoys admitting that their actions do not match their ideals. But this is where real change begins. When you understand that habits and identity are connected, you hold the key to transformation. Here is the secret. You do not need to rebuild your entire life overnight. Choose one habit that fits the identity you desire. The habit of reading each day, the habit of keeping your promises, the habit of planning ahead. Every time you act in alignment with that habit, you cast a vote for the person you want to become. The more votes you cast, the stronger that identity grows. That is why you cannot pretend forever. You can perform. You can speak. You can motivate yourself endlessly. But if your habits say otherwise, the truth will eventually surface. And that is not a reason for despair. It is an invitation to authenticity. The fastest way to change how you see yourself is to change what you do. Want to become a leader? Begin with the habit of preparation. Want to be healthy? Build the habit of movement. Want to be trusted? Practice the habit of honesty, even when it feels uncomfortable. Every new habit you form is a step toward a new identity. Discipline is not only something you practice, it is someone you become. Each day you write your future with the pen of habit, and over time the story becomes so consistent that people will say, "That's just who you are." And you will smile, knowing it was simply the result of casting enough votes in the right direction. So do not wait for some dramatic moment to reinvent yourself. Begin with the very next habit. Build the evidence one action at a time until the new version of you is not just possible, it becomes inevitable. Most people never realize this, but one of the most underrated forces in achievement is consistency. People are always searching for the breakthrough, the secret formula, the shortcut. But if you study anyone who masters their field, you will notice something simple. They keep showing up, day after day, rain or shine. They do the work. That is how momentum is built. It is not about intensity. It is about repetition. The world is full of people who started strong and then disappeared. But those who keep stacking small wins, one after another, begin to create something extraordinary. Momentum. And once momentum appears, progress almost feels effortless. Think about learning a musical instrument. The first lessons are pure struggle. Fingers refuse to cooperate. Notes sound wrong. Nothing flows. But if you keep practicing even a few minutes every day, the struggle slowly turns into skill. Eventually, you are playing without thinking. Consistency transforms chaos into harmony. In business, the same rule applies. Make one good call and you have a beginning. Make 10 good calls and you have a pattern. Make 100 and people begin to notice. Make 1,000 and now you have a reputation. That is the power of consistency. Each small win builds upon the last, creating a foundation strong enough to withstand any storm. But consistency offers another gift: confidence. Every time you keep a promise to yourself, your self-trust grows. The quiet voice inside says, if you did it yesterday, you can do it again today. And that is the beginning of mastery. The chain grows longer, the streak grows stronger, and soon you are no longer struggling forward, you are rolling with force. Momentum is strange. It never arrives suddenly. It sneaks in after enough consistent days, after enough small victories, until one day the flywheel finally begins to spin. And when it does, you are amazed at how much easier everything becomes. What once felt exhausting now feels natural. That is why you must never underestimate the value of one more day, one more repetition, one more chapter, one more call. Each one is a brick in the wall of your success. Consistency may feel boring, but to the wise it is the secret ingredient. It is how ordinary actions become extraordinary results. Do not be discouraged by slow progress. The first days are always the hardest, but if you keep stacking those days, the rewards begin to multiply. That is the gift of consistency, momentum that leads to mastery. Now let us focus on discipline. If there is a master key that turns dreams into reality, this is it. Discipline is the bridge between intention and achievement. It takes a good idea and transforms it into a good result. Discipline is not about punishment or deprivation. It is about choosing what matters most again and again until the choice becomes automatic. It is about saying no to 100 distractions so you can say yes to the one thing that moves your life forward. Here is what I discovered. Discipline gives birth to the compound effect. When you do the right thing repeatedly, the impact grows far beyond what you put in. Like interest in a bank account, the results begin small, but they build and build until suddenly you are seeing extraordinary outcomes from very ordinary actions. Think about the runner who rises every morning, even when it is cold, even when it is raining. The first miles are painful, the reward is invisible. But stay disciplined long enough and the body changes. The mind sharpens, the pace increases. That is the compound effect in motion. Discipline bends the curve of your results in your favor. In business, discipline matters just as much. Make the calls, follow up, study your market, send the thank you notes. It may not look impressive today, but over time the disciplined person rises above the rest. The curve begins slowly, then suddenly accelerates. What once seemed impossible becomes inevitable. Discipline is not about working harder. It is about working smarter, working consistently, and refusing to settle for average. Anyone can be disciplined for a day. But connect a week, a month, a year of discipline, and you unlock the full power of the compound effect. At first, no one notices, but eventually the results speak so loudly they cannot be ignored. So here is your challenge. Raise your standards and let discipline do the work. You do not need perfection. You only need persistence. Ordinary actions performed with extraordinary consistency create results that surprise even you. Discipline turns slow days into seasons of progress. It stacks the odds in your favor. Stay consistent long enough and the curve will bend your way. Now here is one of the greatest myths about habits. People believe, if I just stop doing the wrong things, my life will change. If I stop wasting time, stop complaining, stop overspending, everything will improve. But here is the truth. You cannot simply remove a bad habit and leave an empty space behind. Nature hates a vacuum. You must replace, not merely remove. Try this experiment. Decide to stop eating junk food without planning what you will eat instead. Hunger soon takes over, and you return to old patterns. The only way to break a bad habit is to trade it for a better one. Exchange the empty for the useful. Maybe you listen to television or the news every night and realize it wastes your time. But unless you replace it with something better, reading a good book, calling a friend, working on a project, the old habit will return. The replacement gives you strength to continue. Complaining works the same way. It becomes easy to focus on what is wrong, to share frustrations, to magnify problems. But try replacing every complaint with gratitude. Speak about what is right instead of what is wrong. Slowly your attitude shifts, conversations improve, your world changes. Finances follow this rule too. You cannot simply stop spending, you must start investing. Every dollar you save is a seed, but a seed left on the table never grows. It must be planted. Replace impulse with saving, and over time, watch your resources multiply. This principle applies everywhere. Do not just cut out the negative, crowd it out with the positive. Want to stop being late? Prepare the night before. Want to stop procrastinating? Begin with one simple step forward and let momentum build. Habits are like roots. If you pull out a weed and leave the soil empty, another weed will appear. But if you plant a good seed, nurture it, and let it grow, you have a chance to build something valuable. So as you review your habits today, do not only ask what to remove, ask what to add. What better habit can replace the old one? Every positive replacement brings lasting change. That is how you build a life that pays dividends. Replace, do not just remove. Now, here is the greatest dividend your habits can ever pay. Character. You might think the rewards of good habits are better health, more money, promotions, recognition. And yes, those rewards often arrive. But the highest return, the true compound interest of a disciplined life, is strength of character. Character is not built in a single day. It is built in daily struggle, in silent victories, in moments when you choose what is right over what is easy. Every promise you keep, every task you finish, every act of integrity becomes a deposit in your character account. Money may rise and fall, opportunities may come and go, but who you become along the way, that belongs to you forever. That is what endures. That is what people remember. Strong habits give you the power to withstand whatever life sends your way. Not because it becomes easy, but because you have trained yourself to show up, to follow through, to stand tall even when the wind is against you. Character is what carries you when motivation fades. It steadies you when rewards take time to appear. It is forged in quiet moments when you do the right thing, even when no one is watching. When you choose discipline over comfort, principle over convenience. And here is the beautiful truth. The dividends of character enrich every part of your life. In business, people trust you. In relationships, people respect you. With yourself, you walk with confidence, knowing you earned it. Success may come and go, but character remains. I have seen it time and again. Those who build the right habits rise after failure, outlast obstacles, and leave legacies. Not because they were smarter or luckier, but because they strengthened the muscle of character, one decision at a time. And now, as this message comes to its final moments, I want you to pause for just a second. Not to rush, not to scroll away, but to truly reflect on everything you have just heard. Because none of this is theory. None of this is fantasy. This is the quiet architecture of every extraordinary life that has ever been built. Success does not arrive with fireworks. Transformation does not announce itself with noise. Greatness grows in silence, in discipline, in habits repeated when nobody is watching and no applause is coming. Right now, somewhere in the world, someone with less talent than you is outworking you. Someone with fewer resources is building stronger habits. Someone with more obstacles is showing more courage. And the difference is not luck. It is not destiny. It is daily choice. You are not behind. You are not broken. You are not too late. You are simply standing at a crossroads. One path leads back to comfort, to excuses, to routines that keep you exactly where you are. The other path leads forward, to discipline, to growth, to a version of yourself you have not yet met, but one you were always meant to become. And here is the most powerful truth of all. Your future is not decided by what you intend to do. It is decided by what you do consistently. Every morning, you are voting. Every habit is a ballot. Every action is a signature on the contract of your destiny. You may not feel powerful. You may not feel confident. You may not feel ready. But readiness is not required. Commitment is. You do not need to change your entire life today. You only need to change the next decision, the next habit, the next hour. Because when small decisions are made with discipline, they become massive transformations over time. Think about the person you want to become. Not just what you want to have, but who you want to be. Stronger, calmer, more focused, more disciplined, more respected, more fulfilled. That person is not created in a moment of motivation. That person is built slowly, quietly, relentlessly. Through mornings when you do not feel like getting up. Through days when progress seems invisible. Through nights when doubt whispers that it is not working. But it is working. Every repetition is shaping you. Every discipline is strengthening you. Every choice is carving your character. One day, sooner than you think, you will look back and realize something incredible. The struggle that once exhausted you is now your strength. The habits that once felt heavy now feel natural. The discipline that once required effort now defines who you are. And people will say you changed. They will say you're different. They will say you're lucky. But you will know the truth. You were not lucky. You were consistent. You were disciplined. You were patient. You were brave enough to keep going when quitting was easier. And that is how legacies are built. Not through grand speeches, not through sudden miracles, but through daily discipline, through quiet excellence, through habits that never stopped showing up. So as you leave this message today, take one thing with you. Just one. Choose one habit to strengthen. Choose one discipline to protect. Choose one decision that moves you closer to the life you want. Because the future you is already waiting. Stronger than you imagine, wiser than you expect, and proud of the choices you're about to make. Do not delay your destiny. Do not negotiate with excuses. Do not betray your potential. Rise each day with purpose. Conquer each day with discipline, and build a life that one day tells a story worth remembering. Your journey is not over. In many ways, it is only just beginning. Call to action, closing line, and if this message spoke to your soul, if it strengthened your mindset and reminded you of the power already inside you, then do not walk this journey alone. Subscribe now to the channel Rise and Conquer. Join a community built on discipline, growth, and unstoppable ambition. Because here, we do not wait for success. We rise and we conquer.